It's fine. You're fine. Little iced coffee ASMR. Start us off.
We can start with something. Guess who went out with old high school friends last night?
Uh, oh, it's you. You did.
Couldn't
You're not
I?
relating a story about someone else who went out with their high school friends.
No, yeah. Yeah. That happened. And at this point, when you go out with high school friends at the ripe age of 48, this is what happens. You go, wow, I haven't seen you well, in the instance of this person, I hadn't seen this person because social media doesn't count in 25 years. And the funny thing is we all kind of hit it off right where we were. We have a small group of people that happen to live in this area because I grew up in St. Louis, and I guess people ended up in Austin, whatever. And this one person, she lives in Denver. And yeah, she just like texted me randomly. And it was one of those things where you get the text and you're like, do I really want to do this? You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know, you know. And we did it. I literally just went downstairs.
What was the reluctance?
Just honestly, just laziness. You know what I mean? You're kind of like, do I want to go out? Like it's not like I'd be going out anyways. Like, it's like when the weekend comes around, I'm like, yeah. I mean, you know what's fun to me, honestly. Like weekend for me right now is like, let's make hamburgers. Let's make hamburgers. Let's light up the grill. I'll go to the grocery store. I'll get some beer. You know what I mean? Like that's cool. Like I don't. It takes like a real like desire people to be like, oh yeah, like there's no impromptu parties. I mean, maybe what we'll do is just Brilliant and I will be like, oh we'll have dinner, and we're talking a Friday or Saturday night, and then it'll be like, you want to walk the dog, and we'll have a beer. Like we won't even necessarily go to a bar. We'll just walk in the neighborhood with a beer and be like, okay, cool, fun. Last night I went to a hotel bar, which is never ideal, and then to a country bar because people expect to do that here. You know what I mean? I've
Were
been to
there
this.
were there people visiting in town? Like what spawned this high
That's the
school get
that's
together?
the thing. One person came into town, have not seen her in 25 years. She had my phone number of all the people. Like like she's seen other people. I don't know, but for some reason she had my phone number. And yeah, there it was. And the funny thing is 25 years ago, when I hung out with her, I ended up hanging out with other high school friends for just a short amount of time back in LA. So it's interesting. It's like every 20 years, there's this catalyst. Thank you, Liz Bryan, for reminding me about where I came from. And sometimes you got to go out on a Wednesday night. But yeah, it was very high school.
Was so Liz had your cell phone number. When did you get a cell phone? Like at what ripe
99. Okay, so I was the era when a lot of people got cell phones because of their offer for long distance. So, right up until when I got my cell phone, I not only had a landline, but you would pay for long distance because I went to college out of state. So if I wanted to call my parents or other friends, you needed a long distance plan. And Sprint, RIP, God, I just feel old. I'm so old. Like, this is all such irrelevant information. I might as well be talking about a rotary phone. But a lot of us were like, wait, if I pay $50 a month and I get a cell phone that I can like cruise around, like we were still coming off the idea of car phone. The car phone was also, it wasn't around anymore, but it was still kind of in that era a little bit of oh wow, I can talk in the car. Wow. And yeah, I was like, I'm gonna get this because it's cheaper than the long distance plan. So it's crazy. Yeah. So that's what brought me and a lot of people. It was a really Sprint was cheap, $50 was worth it.
How old were you in '99?
Ripe old age of 22.
got your first cell phone at 22,
Yeah.
and you've had the same number since, I
Yeah.
presume.
Yeah. 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 Well, what's funny is the reason I got the phone is why I've never changed my phone number is because they basically eliminated the value of the area code. Because the area code would indicate if you were long distance or not. They ended the idea, it was a one rate plan. You just counted down minutes. And what's so funny is the first few years I had a cell phone, I would I would press like *9 or *2 or whatever to see how much minutes I had left. Now, I don't, when I look at my plan here and there, when I'm like, collecting receipts, I remember going, oh man, I'm going to go over. And I'd have furiously expensive bills because, you go over and it's like extra, charge
Wait,
per minute.
recently?
No, 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 back in the day. Now
Okay,
it's
okay,
it's,
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
irrelevant because you don't even talk on the
Everything's
phone.
unlimited. And if you're not unlimited, someone will give you unlimited. You switch, and then yeah,
It's crazy. I mean, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We pay enough for it. I'm sure we rack up thousands of dollars of the old phone bill.
Who knows?
What's your without revealing your entire phone number because I don't want our millions of listeners hounding you. What's your area code?
323, baby.
323.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Oh, because you were in college or because you were living in L.A.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Three-
oh, by the way, that was new at the time. That was new. 323
But
was
I
new.
associate, but now it's associated with L.A., which is cool. I also have the same phone number from when I got a cell phone, 16 maybe. I was in high school. Um, our area code was 201, but they ran out of 201s,
Yeah.
and so I got a 551, which is very close to 555. Almost feels like a fake
Yeah.
phone number.
Yeah.
And so my number is 551. No, I'm not going to say my whole phone number, but I have a 551. And back then, people were like, "What is that?" And even to this day, it's funny. I have the relationship with my area code that I have with a lot of things, like my religion, my hometown, my family. Where you're like, it's like this mix of like, oh, I can't stand it, but also I love it so much. And now I'm in a place with the 551 where it's kind of like mysterious. It's ambiguous. People are like, what is that? And I'm kind of grateful I don't have the 201 because a lot of people have associations with the 201. It's the
Yeah.
Bergen County. They're like, oh, what are you, rich? And I'm like, no, I was the poorest kid in that town. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, you
You know,
ducked some issues. Yeah, that's amazing. You
I've got a
ducked.
lot of issues.
You've ducked. Well, I mean, you don't need that. You have to spend the time explaining it. I think it's really interesting. Like, I think this is a new game we can play. Like, associate religion to an area code. Like, what is the third? What's funny? When we were getting our phones, you could pick. Like, I picked 323 because it was new. I wanted it to be new and different. I think that there were some people I know who like deliberately chose 310 because they wanted to project wealth. Because 310 was Beverly Hills, West LA, Santa Monica. And yeah, to this day, I think, there are people who simply wanted to project wealth. Is there a group or a faith you would associate with 310 based on that?
Um,
There's no right
yeah,
answer. You understand that, right? This is just
yeah,
pitching.
310, I just think is William Morris calling,
Yeah, fair enough. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, we'll go for, CAA, William Morris. This is obviously not all
Yeah.
dads know about elite agencies, but maybe if you watched Entourage, you'd have an idea of the behavior at least.
And if you watched Entourage, you're quite possibly a dad our age. So come along on this journey with us where we both look back to the past and try to be in the present and have anxiety about the future and hope. Maybe hope? I don't know.
I know we want to become a dad podcast, but pretty big day for TV because The Bear just dropped last night. In fact,
Oh, yeah.
my
Yeah.
big regret. I don't have a regret because it was nice. I could have come up with an excuse for not going out, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did. You see old friends. They don't make them like that anymore, right? It's worth doing. However, it's so hard with social media because all the spoilers are now available, and I
Oh, yeah.
cannot I can't. I already saw something that was kind of a joke. It said it was a still of Kevin Spacey in not Seven, in Usual Suspects, and the caption reads, "The greatest trick the bear ever pulled was convincing you that something happens." And I'm like, darn it, is that a spoiler? It's not, but it kind of is. I don't know. Do you
I
like
heard
the?
this is the season that the bear finally attacks.
Is it the actual?
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to
The
get.
bear
I
attacks.
I just I just gotta watch it.
Stupid joke. Listen, Ali, we have to talk because I brought you here today
Uh-oh, this
because,
sounds serious.
well, you went to Asia
Oh yeah, that's right.
and
Good point.
you never really told me about it. So,
I didn't.
how was your trip?
Yeah, yeah, that was one of those things that was like, I feel like it's almost obnoxious because, you do these trips and then, especially someone like myself that's pretty verbose will just be like, oh my God, it was amazing and you got to do it and it was the most amazing thing and it'll change your life. Like, um, and those things are all kind of true. You know what I mean? Like, it changes your perspective a bit. So we've gone now twice to Asia in 2 years, which I think does speak a lot of volumes about how much we like it. Um, for whatever reasons, my son, well, actually, there are reasons. My son loves anime, he loves ramen. So the idea was already there. When we went 2 years ago, he was 11. He not quite 11, he was still 10. And it was a real learning experience for all of us. And I would even say too, even doing it 2 years later, where he's older, more mature, more, I think can deal with situations and stuff. Travel like that, especially the way we did it, which is we went to two countries and four cities within 2 weeks, is to be blunt exhausting. Like it's one of those vacations where you can use a vacation after the vacation. That being said, it's an amazing experience for a family unit to go through that. You actually, push some boundaries a little bit and we understand each other a bit better because it's like, okay, like sometimes you have good days, bad days. So as much as I could go off about like having the best beer I've ever had in Kyoto, which is I was going off about it last night, that's much smaller compared to something like just saying, when you put yourself in a situation where you're just trekking around and language is a barrier. My son has this nut allergy. So everywhere we went, my wife makes these cards that print out the allergy. This is in Korean, Neil, just so you know. This is Korean right there. Um, we're always kind of contending with that because, I'm obviously a bit food focused, so and that's also a big part of it. Um, yeah, so it's there was one point where and by the way, we did this on a hustle. Credit card points. We would get like a decent. Sometimes like we had like some hotels were quite nice, some were smaller. You know what I mean? Wherever Hyatt took us, wherever Chase and Hyatt could take care of it, they did. And there was one morning where like wake up and Heath's on the rollout bed, and I wake up and I see his head pop up, and like he just kind of extends his hand. Like it's just like we're just kind of bonded in that moment. And, full disclosure, like normal life isn't like that. You know what I mean? He's got school. I've got this. There's iPads. There's video games. There's like he spends a lot of. He's a gamer. He's talking with his friends and stuff like that. So we're not hanging out so much. And that was something very very interesting and very memorable. It's just the intensity of the time we spent together, which had this good or bad. But I think looking back, it'll be something that will be a bonding moment, without being too grandiose or overly intentional about it. Like some people go fishing, like we cruised around Asia for 2 weeks. So yeah, it's good, and we'd like to do it again. It's a little expensive just by fact that Brearley has a private practice, and she has to like she basically does when she's on vacation she doesn't work, and when you travel so far you want to spend a lot of time there. So we may not be taking a 2 week plus trip next summer, you know. So yeah, it's but I highly recommend. Uh, Certainly, honestly, I'll just say it, get out of America. Like when a lot of stuff was happening, there was a lot of news, a lot. I mean, all the stuff was happening, unfolding with ICE and things like that. It was just it really changes your POV when you're simply not even on the same time schedule. So you're like, oh, what's happening over there? Putting the phone down, and now we're just gonna cruise around Seoul, Korea. So yeah.
What the folks that you met who were either locals or expats or just other travelers, like
Mm-hmm.
did America come up? Did American politics come up? Did or were you really just kind of out of it?
Yeah, totally out of it, actually. I mean, so when we went in 23, we were still, the world was still coming back from COVID, actually. So when we went in 23, Japan had just reopened. You know, they were like, no one's coming in. They had shut everything down. And so when we came back, yeah, I don't think we saw any other, we were probably the only non-Japanese people. It almost feels like 28 weeks later, we're coming back to repopulate England. So this time we definitely saw more like Americans. There's more tourists everywhere, Seoul, things like that too. I think I was at a it's really funny to say this. I was at a craft beer bar in Kyoto, Japan. They do have these things, and that's a whole trippy thing too. Like that was just like crazy. So I remember I talked to a guy. He was an American, and yeah, we were blissfully not obligated to talk about anything. It was just I think we were completely focused on wow, look at this place. And I feel like when you're traveling, you start to meet people who are like, first you're kind of like, well, what's your story? You know what I mean? Like, and this is somebody who I happen to talk to, an American who, like, because of his work, has traveled to like 70 countries or something like that. So, there was just more. I mean, yeah, I was unplugged. I was unplugged. Like, it was literally like you'd see the stuff on the phone, and you're like, this is crazy. Oh, well, So yeah, that was quite. I mean, the timing of it was nuts. And then surprisingly, we had to fly back to LA, and we anticipated, um, being held over or whatever. I could not tell you how easy it was walking back into America. Like we have global entry, so yeah, they like scan your face and you walk right in. And it was kind of funny because I was worried about bringing something in my luggage, and I got scared, and I said, you know what? I'm just gonna throw it away. I don't have any issues. So when I was in Korea, I did a Korean barbecue experience through Airbnb. So we met this person. He takes you to this like amazing meat market that has this like kind of Korea's version of Japanese Kobe Wagyu beef. And so he takes you to this market, tells you all about this luxurious beef. You buy it, then you go to like almost a you buy we fry Korean barbecue restaurant, and he makes you've been to Korean barbecue, right? You cook the meat on the grill, so it's like that. But this stuff is so good that it's like when you get sushi and the guy's like, no soy sauce, it's already done. He was very meticulous about okay, so just cook it and now just add this. Now add that. You're not drowning it. There's no A1 steak sauce here. None. So one of the few things we could add were he had three different kinds of salt. And one was a Korean salt, one was Malden, which I assume is, I don't know, it's like French or something. And one, oddly enough, was from Texas. It was a smoked pecan salt. So yeah, go figure. Um, at the end of it, and I swear to you, this stuff's so good, you don't want to add. You don't want A1. Like that's probably the biggest way I can describe eating to a degree foods. Some foods, uh, possibly more so in Japan because Korea does like stronger flavors, but like the food speaks for itself. You don't need to drown it with flavor. And now that I'm here, the food doesn't have as much flavor, so you want to drown it and stuff. But anyways, he had this like Korean salt, and at the end of it, he goes, "And now my gift to you is some Korean salt for you to take home." And he proceeds to hand us a plastic baggie filled with salt. And Keith is with me, which was rad. It's one of the most favorite things he did, and it was very impromptu. Like, we decided last minute he was going to go. So he hands me the salt, and I'm looking at this, and I'm like, my guy, I can't take this on the plane. This is like locked up abroad. And like all the other people are laughing too. I'm like, does anyone not realize this might be an issue? But it was really good salt, Neil. Like I was like, oh, this
You couldn't
sucks.
check the salt? I don't understand. You can't pack salt?
I really didn't. As a brown man, Neil, living in
Mm.
a post 9/11 world, you
I'm
just
not
don't
saying
want
carry
that.
on.
Either
You throw
or.
it in there.
Well, no, we did check it. So that was one of the other things too. We did this in 23. We were like, we are not checking in lunch. Like we had our bags everywhere. So I could have done it, but more importantly, I was like, man, dude, this bag looks shady. Now, what happened was I got the salt, and then I was like, there's got to be a way I can figure this out. So I went to like have you ever heard of Daiso? Those stores, Daiso. It's like a Asian 99-cent store. So it's like whatever. So I go there, I get these tiny little Tupperware things, and I put the salt in there. And Brearley sees that, and she goes, "That looks even more shady." And I'm like, "Damn it!" And then my last day in Tokyo, I was looking around trying to find a salt shaker. I couldn't find one in any store or whatever. And then finally, I was like, you know what? All this stuff's happening with ICE in LA. I do not want to, because we have connecting flights. Like, is the salt worth missing a connecting flight? So I threw away the salt, Neil. I decided to not bring my 2 bags of salt that looked like I would be on Locked Up Abroad. Um, yeah. And that's fine, I guess. Although I have a chef friend who's like, oh my God, you gotta get the Korean salt. It's the best. Oh well. It's in a trash can in Tokyo.
Is it an import? I mean, is there you can get it at a market, I imagine, or not like
Yeah,
that?
I guess I could. You know what? You'd probably be very expensive. This was free. But it was just such a like I thought like a really lovely gesture. And it really encapsulated like to a degree one of the things I really enjoyed about Asia, which is like there's a standard of quality. I was talking to a friend of mine she works in food PR. She works with a bakery. And for some reason, over Instagram DMs, I said something like, "Oh yeah, like the bakeries in Korea and Japan." And she goes, "They have bakeries there?" And I was like, "You are so Western world centric." Like, and I think, and I learned this like 20 plus years ago from a food writer was that, generally speaking, like Japan's nature when they were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have an Italian restaurant," they will send their chefs to Italy and have them study the hell out of this cuisine, culture, whatever, master it and come back. And so they garnered this reputation. And actually, it's crazy. On the Korean barbecue tour, we had a chef on the tour who was from France. He's a pastry chef. He works in Seoul. And he said the French restaurants in Seoul are better than Paris. And then he went on to say that they give away Michelin stars in Paris. I was like, wow, dude. I mean, he made clearly a hot take, but it was very fascinating to hear a man from France say that. And then I actually talked to another Frenchman and got a different point of view, but he was a hotel concierge, not a chef. But still, yeah.
Hot takes, hot culinary takes. Tell us about the best beer you ever drank. Set the scene.
Jesus.
Name
Okay.
drop it. I mean, come on, give them their credit. Tell us
Uh,
about the brewery. What's the name of the beer?
oh man, I should probably pull it from. So I will tell you this: like, you go to certain places. Japan is one of those things where like there's a lot of hype and there's a lot of expectation. And to be totally blunt, it nobody bats 1,000, right? So Kyoto is a place that's really renowned for food because they have created this thing called kaiseki, which is like this multi-course seasonal tasting menu thing. And like most things that sound like that, they're kind of expensive and they require reservations, and it's not like, let's just roll with the punches. And you can't Anthony Bourdain that, like, oh, I just bumped into an alley and, without producers or whatever. So, Kyoto's like one of those places where you're like, oh my God, there's going to be crazy food. What I never anticipated was really good beer or whatever. So I think like most Americans, we've all become accustomed to very kind of hoppy beer and all that stuff. And when you're away from it and you're just drinking regular beer, you kind of crave it, miss it. In Seoul, we encountered some places that had craft beer, and it was like, oh, cool. I missed that. I haven't had it in a while. It's my normal beer of choice, and so we had it. It was fine. Like it was good. Nothing. I wasn't memorable. In Kyoto, there was a place right by my hotel that just said craft beer. And I had spent a day kind of solo doing a little food tour thing. And then I was like, I'm just going to go in here and have a beer. And I had to wait around a bit. They opened at 3. It was like 2:50. I'm wandering around. I'm like, okay, they've opened up. Now, it's very quiet. Maybe it was off hours and stuff like that. But going in there was almost more like going into a sleepy wine bar. You know what I mean? You go in, you sit down, the person's there. They have someone who makes some food. They hand you a menu. And the first thing I noticed was they had craft beer on draft from all over the world. From like Spain, I don't know, like Brazil. Like I was like, I didn't know that. Not the, I mean, there was a menu, but it wasn't like a massive, massive selection. But, there it was. And I just, I'm using Google Translate, doing all the things. And I was like, let me get this one. This looks pretty good. And this happened twice, but the way they pour the beer is kind of like the way people tell you how Guinness is supposed to be poured. So, you pump it, it fills up a third, you pump it some more. It's like a whole thing. It's basically not rushed. An American bar, you're like, here you go. Like fast food, like boom, 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 faster, better, right? This, like, part of it is I'm not, language barrier, all this stuff kind of takes time. You know what I mean? And I always say this, I feel like for the most part, when you're on vacation, everything feels a little bit more special. You're in a new place, and I remember the beer comes out and it's, like kind of basically perfect. Like the guy takes his time pouring the beer, and this happened in the second place. The amount of time they take, like spooning out the foam, then filling it up again, like it just takes like 3 times as long. Granted, pouring a beer is a fast thing, but it just takes a long time, much longer. And then you get it, and then you sip it. And then one of the other things too is you'll notice like, oh man, everything's quote cheaper. Everything's cheaper, cheaper, cheaper. Part of it is the exchange rate, and there's no gratuity and all this stuff that makes you go, oh man, this is fun. I don't mind going out. The beer's not that cheap. You know what I mean? Like it's like, okay, like you start to do the math and you're like, okay, this would be like not too, and it's smaller portions too. You can get like 3 different levels. It's not just some big, huge thing. So there was almost like this version of beer that was like kind of like how America has created supersized fast food. Like make it fast, make it bigger. And the beer was, not cheap as dirt, took time. And, like you didn't necessarily have to have like a big stein, whatever. I don't know. But it was, and obviously to a degree, there's lots of different ways you can do your craft beer. But if you like that general hazy, hoppy IPA, the ones where you can't see through it, it was that. And it was really, it was, Kyoto singularly had the best craft beer I've ever had. And then the second place I went to was very similar, but like, I don't know, cleaner, more immaculate. It was called Craftsman. Just I don't know. It's and they're all in these little sleepy tucked away corners. There was an area that was very felt like touristy or very very saturated. Like uh, there'd be three everywhere you walk. People will tell you you're only looking at the first floor and then look at the second floor, third floor because there's lots of stuff there. That place wasn't as great for food, in my opinion. There's this other area in Kyoto that was like more sleepy tucked away. But that's where I had these beers and also the cocktails too. There were bars you go to that were also like very quiet. You show up, there's maybe it's quiet, I mean, literally quiet. Like it's like I almost felt weird saying anything out loud or even having a conversation. And the first thing the guy will tell you is, and the guy's like wearing a tuxedo. You know what I mean? Like classy old school. And the guy will tell you at these kinds of bars, like, just so you know, it's 500 yen. Just, there's a service charge. And you're like, okay, cool. And you literally, this is a place where you have like one or two cocktails. Um, and it just again takes a lot of time. And I had these like matcha old fashions, Japanese whiskey. It was nuts. Very good. The drinks were quite good in Kyoto.
Cool.
Yeah.
What did you do anime wise in Korea and Japan?
For anime,
Yeah. Like, were there like anime things to see or activities?
when we went in 23, we did a lot more of that stuff. We went to Yokohama and saw a life size. I don't know if you know about this stuff. Gundam Wing. So it's like giant flying robots. Like it's an anime series. It's very old actually. It's been on for decades and they keep just revamping it or whatever. But it's kind of I don't know. Do you know about Voltron? This is gonna be tough for us. You don't know about Voltron, Robotech.
It sounds familiar.
So you just imagine, Neil, you are flying a jet. You're flying a jet, right? F-35. And then you hit a button and it turns into a robot. Okay, that's Robotech. That's Voltron was a lion, but whatever, it flies around. Same thing. It's a jet, you hit a button, it turns into a robot. That's what Gundam Wing is. Gundam Wing is like it's a mobile suit, but it's like a jet turns into a robot. It's like if you could put a human inside a transformer. That's the broad way of looking at it. So there's a place that has like a gigantic life-size robot that it moves around. It's kind of weird. It's like I don't know, like you wait like it happens every 30 minutes and then you see the thing walk around and it's cool, but it's not like you're watching a sci-fi movie in real life exactly. We did some of that. We went to the anime district in Tokyo too. It's interesting because it's for adults as much as kids. That's another thing too. Is like if you're on the subways and stuff like that, like you see ads, stuff on the TV, and you're like, this is not anime is not just for children. Like it's like hard ingrained in the culture. So I feel like we had that agenda a little bit more. We went around to like collect. There's a whole district that's for collectors and stuff like that. That's not, to be blunt, nearly as exciting as it sounds for a young person, as much as I think it is for just a collector. But this time we did go to a Pokemon store, and we had some friends who were visiting, and they brought their sons too. And one of them is like a straight Pokemon card hustler, and he's in high school, and he's like already like taking an interest in studying finance in college, and this guy came to Tokyo and like dropped hundreds of dollars. But that's because he's gonna flip it. Like he is in the Pokemon. I mean, this guy's like, he's like freaking gonna be a sophomore in high school. He's probably studying calculus, so he's no dummy. He's not like blowing his parents' wad here. He apparently saves his money like a mofo, saves all the money that the grandparents give him. And then he's just like, all right, I'm going to buy these cards. But like, it's like crypto, and so you take a guy like that and you send him to Tokyo. And apparently he spent all the days, like just going to all these shops, like getting it going. We all went out to dinner later and, I think someone said something about shopping, and then the dad goes, "No more shopping." Like, because I think he just got taken to the ringer. Oh, and then I will tell you this: I got to send you this footage. We attended a dinner, a dinner and a show, and the show was sumo wrestling, and you watch the guys do sumo, and then they had people come up, and so to try and challenge a sumo wrestler, which I did, and they actually put on a big old sumo suit. Um, you know, I got to tell you, I'm someone who, I work out, I can do a burpee, I can do bear crawls, I use 20-pound dumbbells, like I'm in pretty good shape. I will tell you, um, trying to move that man, I will send you all the footage. It's I think, in my opinion, right up there with your dance footage, right up there. Yes.
People are enjoying.
Yeah.
I put myself out there. I can't wait to see that. I am quite excited.
Yeah.
I had a thought though. Well, because it's funny. There is a Pokemon obsession happening in our elementary school.
Mm.
Cece has started to kind of get into it for probably all year. She has to look. Our kids are not deprived. We give them what they want.
Hmm.
In terms of material things and experiences and love, of course, love. But all year she's like, I want a binder. I need a binder for Pokemon.
Yeah.
And like, what's a binder? $8?
Yeah.
$6? Not doing it. My wife, she has put her foot down. She's like, no Pokemon, but we are not a Pokemon binder family. These kids show up to the park with their binders, they're trading, and then someone's always crying. And so she's got these cards. I don't know what any of them mean. I never was I'm not Bobby Maximus. I don't know about Magic or
Yeah.
Pokemon.
Sure.
They're cute, Some of them are gold. I would say to you, this is what I'm going to propose. We've only ever had dad guests on this podcast. I'd like to meet this kid. I'd like him to teach us about Pokemon.
Yeah. Oh, wait, were we talking about, did we bring this up on a recent podcast? Did we bring up homeless fishermen?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But he's
same.
not a kid, right? Isn't
Oh,
homeless fisherman
no, no, he's an
an
adult.
adult?
But this is the
Yeah.
same. So not the so this
Is
family,
it the
there's
same family?
yeah, same family, but two different boys. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's us. I don't know why I brought that up, and I'm like, wait a minute, didn't we
I
talk?
mean, I think we need to have them on.
Yeah, I don't know what the legality is with minors, but look, it's an easy ask. It's an easy ask.
Um, yeah, nor do I. Again, we are useless actor English major duo.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but we know lawyer. I know a lawyer. I can ask him.
I
He'll probably
yeah,
say don't do it.
yeah. Well, look, I mean, we just need a form. I mean, we just need a form.
Like a permission slip. I give Johnny permission to talk to Ollie and Neil
Yeah.
about Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It'll be interesting. Yes, no, this guy, like, he's a real Pokemon hustler. Yeah, yeah.
All right,
It's
we're
crazy.
doing it. We're getting the permission slip filled out. We're gonna meet him.
Yeah,
We're gonna meet the homeless fisherman, maybe
yeah.
on separate episodes. But this is more important to me than some of the esteemed guests
He's
we have
two
lined up
years
about
away from
fatherhood.
being totally. You know what's crazy too? Like, this kid's probably like 16 years old,
Hmm.
15. Isn't that
Okay.
weird? That's so weird. Some of these people are like old. You know, my kid is.
Is 15 old?
I'm just saying, like, he's close to 18. Like, this kid's all of a sudden, like, we're really
Ooh.
old. Well, I'm really
So
old.
today is I didn't tell you, and I don't know when this will air because
Yeah.
we're disorganized. But today it's June 26th as we're speaking.
Hmm.
Today's the last day of school for New York City public schools.
Wait a minute.
My
Whoa, whoa,
kids
whoa, whoa,
are.
whoa. Your kids have been in school this long?
You know what? We were taking last day of school pictures outside the apartment, and our neighbor walked out, and she said the same thing. She was like, "They're still in school," because she's not from here. Um, and
That's
I'm
insane.
used to it because I'm from New Jersey. Like we always went to school until the end of June,
June?
always, and it was like so hot, and we never had AC in our school. I'm sure it's changed. What a weird thing. But yeah, no. So today is the last day of school, and they will start like after Labor Day, which is also weird to people. Which is it's tough because we've got some camps lined up, and then we're going away, and then maybe we'll do a little more. And then there's that time where it's like, what are we doing? Like, come on, it's
Labor Day.
September 2nd. Let's go. But yeah,
You
I think
guys
they
have
go
a
back like
short
this.
summer. That's so
Is it
weird.
short?
I
Well,
think
but when do
so.
you go back? You probably go back in August. We're not going back
Yeah, but
until
not but
like first week of September,
it's
second week of
like the
September.
end. I am totally that dad that's like, I don't know what's happening with school. But
You look at it.
I'm
Well, it's
literally
funny. It's funny you say that. I literally, so today's the last day of school, and I said to my wife, "Do you want me to take the kids tomorrow, do something?" She goes, "I'm on it." I love that you're thinking about it now, the day before, And I'm like, "Well, I offered, you know."
I literally yeah, no, you guys like uh this is so weird. Hey, Andrew.
Well, so I bring this up because you were talking about the older kids
Yeah.
being teenagers and that feeling old. So we're in my son's pre-K classroom, last day of pre-K, going to kindergarten, taking his talents to kindergarten come September. And
Did
there
you
were all
say
these
taking his
beautiful,
talents to kindergarten? I
yeah,
like that one. I'm gonna steal
throwback,
that.
not to
Yeah.
the heat. He's taking
Yes.
them
Yeah.
to kindergarten. And there were all these masks, these laid out on the desk, like kind of like art pieces with Japanese faces, almost like paper mache, but they were like ceramic, with like all different Japanese style faces, and they were like beautiful.
Like
And I said,
kabuki?
what
Was it kabuki?
Right, maybe. And I said to the teacher, "What are these?" And she was like getting really choked up, and she said, I'm finally getting rid of them." And her assistant, her para teacher, said, "This is when she was a sixth grade teacher. This was the art project they did." And she starts going into how they studied Japan. They worked with like a Japanese artist, and they were really beautiful. And I said, "Oh, that's really sweet. I didn't know you were a sixth grade teacher." I said, "How old are these kids now?" And she said, 36. And I was like, "Oh my God." Like, these have been sitting there. Because how old are you in sixth grade? What are you, 12, 11? Um, so, I mean, yeah, we're talking like 20, almost 25 years she's been holding on to these. And I was like, she was like, I'm going to throw them in the trash. I was like, "These are beautiful."
Yeah.
And I was like, "You should find these people and see if they want them." And she said, "I reached out to one. He said to throw it away." And I was like, "That's so." I feel bad. I was like, I was getting emotional on behalf of these kids who I had nothing to do with. Like the idea of them having like made this so long ago. Yeah, it was a really beautiful thing. So,
You know
time
what's
marches
weird?
on, throw it in the
I
garbage.
I man, mine must have got thrown away too. I remember making a mask in sixth grade. It was like the plaster, and I it was really gaudy. It kind of looked like a weird wrestler, kind of a Mad Max kind of vibe.
Lucha Libre
It was
kind of thing.
yeah. I wish it was that style. Well, probably you could have but it was like black and gold. Remember, like it was just weird, and it's funny because I was 12 at the time, and I do remember this. Looking at the mask, I had such a rotund face. Like, it was very round. I'm like, and if it was me now, I would throw that mask away and be like, ugh, I don't want to look at how that's what I look like. It's embarrassing. It's almost like a world of pain and shame. Um, but yes, maybe for that teacher. It is crazy though, right? Like you're kind of like, wow, 20 years goes by. And then you just look at people and you're like, now you're old and you're an accountant. And you're like, I don't know, throw it away. One man's trash, Neil. One man's trash, Neil, is your treasure.
So anyway, I've got eight uh, Japanese style ceramic pieces made by sixth graders in our living room. No, no, I don't.
Oh my
Wouldn't that
god.
be crazy?
I would
I'd really, you would need to put me on hoarders like immediately.
dude, I could
Could you imagine?
I would love Shira would just never allow it. I would love to see how you'd sneak it in. She'd be like, what are you doing with that luggage? Nothing.
I mean, can I tell you the amount of times like over the years where she's like, she'll find something, she'll just be like, it's like that scene in She's Just Not That Into You, where they find the cigarettes or something.
Uh-huh.
Like my wife will like find, I don't know, a folder. She'd be like, I thought we were throwing that away. And I'm like, I was. What happened was I was, it was in the I thought, oh, maybe I could use it for something. Yeah. Yeah. I was going to build this cardboard tower with the kids like 9 months ago. And then I stopped and it's been like sitting in our bedroom. I like finally, she's like, when are you building that tower? So it's gone. It's gone. I finally got rid of it. It's never happening. We're not making the cardboard tower.
Yes.
So, and if we choose to, more Amazon boxes will come. They will. They will arrive.
Do you ever? So the thing that I've noticed that things I do that bother my partner. This happened the other day. Like, like I don't want to say that we have our own food, but there's certain foods that I know, like, I didn't choose to buy this at the grocery store. She did, but I'll partake in it. But I like to be measured in that. Like I don't want to finish the hummus. I mean, I'm not banking on the hummus. If it's there, I'll have some. So that's how I am with this really wonderful Greek yogurt she bought. It's just sweet enough. To me, it's like ice cream. I'm like, oh, I love it. And try not to have it too often. So the other day I had some, and I pour myself out a reasonable amount, and I'm spooning out the yogurt. And, because I'm not trying to eat all of it, like I'm just kind of getting every last little bit. And I look up, and she's looking at me, and she's like the sound of the spoon on the bowl, like really, she's like, really, and I would even add this. There is a bit of a cultural element because, there were things that, say, my mom would do the way she ate, where when we were dating and stuff, my wife would be like, what's up with that? And, we'd have to be like, well, this is a leftover, a holdover from the days of when we would be in the village and we'd have to share one fish. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of, and it has to do with eating too. Like, have you ever eaten Dungeness crab? Have you ever had cracked crab?
Yeah, actually, maybe.
Oysters?
Yes, I don't know if I know the name of it. Yeah.
So, when you eat crab, you're essentially like trying to get the meat out of the shell, and it's tricky and it takes work, and if you do it right, it's it can read as repulsive. And one time I was having cracked crab, and she's like, I need to take a break, and she like walked out of the restaurant because I was like, yeah. I mean, it's just, there's just certain foods that there's no polite way around it. You know what I mean? It just it is what it is. It's if you eat crawfish, it's a thing.
I'll tell a story that probably going to turn off our four listeners. We'll be down to two.
Yeah.
That's okay. Hey, quality.
Yeah,
You're willing to stick with us. When we first started dating, we went to an Italian restaurant. The bread basket came.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I had a knife available to me. I almost did it like unconsciously. Started buttering the bread with my finger at some point. This is 3-4 dates in, maybe something like that. She just looks at me like, what are you doing? And I don't know that I've done it since. But you talk about coming up in these family systems where certain behaviors are either normal,
Yeah.
or just not called out, or
Yeah.
and then so I had to unlearn. I think we've already discussed my impoliteness to wait staff and customer service people, having to unlearn that, and similarly, like just basic etiquette, decorum. Sometimes, like you, I'll be on the couch. We'll eat dinner after the kids are in bed. Kind of on the couch, and my wife will kind of like nicely sit herself up and eat like I guess like a human being, and I'll be like, like down there, and she's like, "Hey, sit up. It's not going anywhere."
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and what really bothers me is the mainstreaming of ick. All right, she'll say, it's really giving me the ick. You're really giving me the ick when you do that. I don't like this. All right, that's marriage. I'm gonna give you the ick sometimes. You don't need to tell me.
Yeah.
You suck it up, you white knuckle it, and you
Yeah.
go to the other room.
Yeah.
And the ick. Can you
Um,
give your spouse the ick? The ick should be reserved for first date, second date, before you're married. Once you're married, yeah, you're gonna get the ick sometimes, all right? It's the ick.
I think there is. I think that's one of the first things I think dads might recall when we start, ultimately dating our eventual partner is like you're kind of like you eat like very like you're I don't know like there's pressure like there's a gun to your head. You're like yeah, cool like it's not like the normal way, and then eventually marriage just comes down to a point where you're like she will catch me licking the plate. Like it's gonna happen. I'm like, listen, I gotta wash this thing. I like it. Like,
Good flavor.
yeah, like
Little extra.
this is good. Like I'm gotta wash the plate anyways. Like
I'm the plate taker awayer because Shiro usually cooks. And then I'll do the dishes. And so I went sometimes, if she's got a little food left over, I'm like, yep, let me grab it. But there's this turn from the living room to the kitchen
that's
where
what.
she can't see
Yeah,
me and
yeah.
I'm eating the rest of her leftovers,
Okay. Yeah,
So
yeah.
she's getting a point 0.8 portion and I'm getting a 1.2 size portion of this blue apron. You know what I'm saying?
It literally, I think that what has been normalized is like, and I will just become like the garbage, the compost bin. There's two compost bin. There's my plate and then the actual compost bin itself. Yeah, that'll happen. And like, what's funny is my son will be someone who'll be like, he gets it from her side. He'll be like, "Yeah, I'm full," and I'm like, "What do you mean full? There's food on the plate. We don't leave a man behind." Yeah, you know what I mean?
You and I are so um, similar in that we were brought up with such terrible food habits. Um,
Yeah,
and
not
for me,
civilized. Yeah, yeah.
similar thing. My and I'm happy to say that my kids at 7 and 4, they will say, I'm good, I'm full. They'll leave stuff on the plate. It does something to me emotionally, and I have to check myself because I know that that's healthy. Listening to your body, being full, that's good. That's a good thing.
Hmm.
But I'm so not used to it. We used to go to, and it's generational. Like it didn't start with my parents. It maybe started with their parents or maybe even further back. But I remember going to my grandparents' house as a kid on Long Island. Me and my sisters would race in there, open her fridge, just grab, like we were like, feast. She would have like deli and tuna and egg salad and like just random, I don't know, like, and cookies and all different sorts of stuff. And we'd go to town, we'd go nuts. We'd hang out for an hour, hour and a half, and then we'd go to dinner at an Italian restaurant. We'd have like the massive, and it would just keep. And then oftentimes on the Jericho Turnpike, we'd have to stop on the way home to New Jersey because we ate too much. Where was it going? This thing in our brain, like the wiring that the food is scarce when it is not actually scarce.
When you had to stop, what would happen? You ate too much, and then what would happen? You
Yeah,
had
I don't want to get too graphic. You're stopping at a local watering hole, local restaurant where they allow us to use the restroom.
Okay, get that. I wanted
You
to
got
make
me?
sure. Well, I mean, I could might possibly. I'm
Oh,
just.
you thought maybe we needed more food? It's true. Yeah. Um,
I was like, wait a minute, you stop off at a
I
New Jersey
saw
diner.
love a New Jersey diner.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it sounds like a good time.
I saw this video this morning, and it's like I'm gonna say it's dad adjacent. This guy must be a dad.
Uh-huh.
It's certainly husband related. I'm gonna share this with you because I just can't not. You ready?
Yeah, I'm very ready.
You see this?
What happened in the Keys?
But honey, or oh my God, I'm sorry, that I don't know what to say to that. I apologize.
Okay, go ahead.
Um, the the question here is what happened I'm sorry, I've just been totally thrown by
Yeah, I
my
can
mistake.
imagine. I can imagine. I'm a little thrown by that also, if I'm being honest.
Your Honor, I don't know what to say. It's just
Okay, well, go ahead. You've only got 1 minute and 7 seconds left.
the question here.
Yeah. So, just to recap, this lawyer was arguing for a sentencing of this criminal to be harsher. I believe the charges were like sexual assault or sexual harassment, and called the judge honey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, part of you, obviously, it's a bit of a Rorschach test. I mean, objectively, we saw that happen. We saw him get very frazzled. We saw him refer to the judge as honey.
Yeah.
The judge also was very upset. You could go, what a jerk. What a misogynist pig.
Yeah.
Just stay with me for a second. There is also an argument to be made. He just went right into that mode of fighting with his wife.
Yeah.
Honey. And caught himself so embarrassed. I mean, is there anything to he, for a moment thought, oh, I'm not at work. He just
Yeah.
forgot to compartmentalize, and he thought, honey, I'm trying.
I guess here's the one thing, and he also looks like someone who would say it, but like, I just don't use that term. Like, oh, hey, honey. Like, talk
We're
about
not a honey. We're not a honey couple.
yeah, like
Not a sweetheart couple. Not a babe.
yeah, oh yeah, sweetheart, babe. Like, for a long time, I did call my wife Sweetie Pie, and I stopped saying really a lot less. And I remember, it's funny, it's one of those things where if I say my wife's name, my son will be like, oh, that sounds weird. I'm like, oh, I think he's used to me using some sort of more affectionate thing. But like,
Huh.
honey, though, like, it's kind of also the other thing too is what I can't get over is that is not the lady I would drop the old honey to. She did not. She looked like she was whatchamacallit, Glenn Close from Fatal Attraction. It was like, she is gonna boil the bunny. Yeah. That was a car accident waiting to happen. But yeah, I don't know. That's a weird one. Like, I don't know what it's like to even use the word honey, so it's hard for me to like switch gears that way. I don't know. That was a real train
Have
wreck.
you ever been around a couple that uses like pet names like passive aggressively? Like, hey sweetie, I have it in the bag. Uh-huh. Honey, I told you to bring the tickets. Like, I feel like, it's always you're like, what is happening here?
You know what? Here's the bigger thing. The bigger thing is when you're around. I feel like I more see this observing strangers or whatever. But what it is you have these people in your life. They are the couple that are very comfortable with airing their dirty laundry in public. Like, it's like, ugh, should we leave so you can have this fight? Because I don't want to be around it. I don't want to be around this stuff. You need to sort this stuff out on your own. Like, let's put up our normal public facade of everything's rosy, But I think, there's just some people that are, like, there are, you know what, I'm, and I don't know, maybe it's to a degree more of an East Coast thing, where it's like, no facade, no BS, this is just how it is. And you're like, what you see is what you get. And like, sometimes you're like, that's cool, but I feel like you're just a license to be rude, isn't? Maybe you should fake it a little bit just for some sense of decorum,
What's your fighting style? Do you guys fight? You ever fought?
Yeah, my style is the, like I hold it all in and then I eventually go nuclear. So I've never been someone who's been like a big, I like to avoid confrontation as much as possible. You know what I mean? Like, I generally shy away from it, and to my detriment, because sometimes you just don't air what needs to be said. So I'll clam up. I'll like not say anything, and it'll happen like, I don't know, every couple years or something like that. You know what I mean? Versus just being able to say it more. I feel like literally in the last even few months, I've become better about just kind of saying it. You know what I mean? Being a little bit more forward, and not holding it all in, or just kind of like taking it on the chin or whatever. So, but yeah, generally, like, it's just like, yeah, just avoid that confrontation. Yeah, and yeah, that's just me, you know. Yeah, yeah. For better or for worse, for better or for worse. You don't strike me. I don't know. Yeah, what is it? I mean, you look at us and we're like, ooh, how do we get mad? I think I just, that's what happens. I'm like, uh-oh, he's not saying anything. What's going on? That's
Yeah.
probably my move.
Well, it's funny, we had very different conflict resolution styles, Shira and I, and so we've kind of had to learn how to, I think, come to the middle over the
Hmm.
years, because like I am, very like if we have a conflict, I'm trying to like make it go away immediately. I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry, it's fine, it's fine. Are you still mad? Are you mad? And Shira will be like, I need a minute, like give me some space, and I'm like, too much space, too much space. Oh, all right. And then I would kind of catastrophize, like, well, that's it, all right, I'm moving out. It's like we have kids, so what do you
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm just mad at you. Like, let me be mad.
Hmm.
I'll never forget though. Years ago, we were in a fight about something on our way to a party. Okay, at one of her friends' places. A bunch of couples and friends were going to be there, and we're like, bickering on the way over, and we get in to the place. Hey, and we're having a good time, and we're joking around or whatever, and I'm thinking, this is great. Oh man! All right, cool. We're having a yeah. All right, yeah. This is just what we needed. Just like kind of a valve release. And we say goodbye, and we walk out onto the street. And I'm like, that was so much fun. She's like, I'm really pissed. And I was like, what? I was like, we were just. And she was able to like turn it on, turn it off. It was like fight back on. And and I was like, god damn it! I thought I got like the party was kind of like my safety. And then I'm like, I actually have to work through this now. God,
Yeah,
no
yeah, yeah.
fair.
No, totally,
Um,
totally.
but I think that, and that's a philosophy that we try to adopt in front of friends and in front of our kids, is like, to your point, like, no one, you don't want to be that couple. You don't want to be that couple fighting in front of people, and
Oh
like
yeah.
keep it at home, work it out. And the other reason is, and this is a thing, those people who kind of like complain about their partner like over and over and over, and then, or like they have some big fight and they tell you about it, and then you see them and then they're like fine, and you're like, what? And like, you got to be really careful what you share, because they're not in it with you, resolving the thing and kind of feeling better about it, and now you're just like, oh, that guy did that, and you just can't ever unknow it, unsee it. Like, keep that shit to yourself.
Yeah. No, I don't. I feel like generally I find this as an adult, and thankfully more of these kind of like the bad stuff I hear is more related to like, thankfully not even friends, but more like kind of like associates, kind of semi colleague type people and stuff. And so, the other day I was at this. Well, it was when I was at
Can't
the.
believe you see me as an associate. That's so nice.
Yeah, yeah. You're not quite. You haven't gotten your button yet. We'll speak about each other in mob terms. You know what I mean? Like, the boss knows who you are. That's good enough. But I had someone ask me a question about me working on for this publication. And I was like, yeah, I've been doing it. And the truth of it was, it was just kind of a, well, not so much a row, but I was like, this it wasn't vibing right. And even the way I describe it, I'm like, I don't have to get into like pointing a finger. I'm like, let's just not be into it. And I generally feel like, no, to a degree, not a lot of good comes out of just bad mouthing a person. You know what I mean? Like, it might feel good. There might be some points to be made, but when you say it, just to say it, it's just, it puts, what does that really do? And the other thing too, I'll say this, is like, there's people out there who, they need fixing, but it ain't my job to fix them. You know what I mean? I'm gonna just that's my move too. It's like, talking about conflict stuff. It's like, I work on my family. You know what I mean? I have a unit that I have to get along with first and foremost. You know what I mean? And if there are like adults in my life that are like frankly dysfunctional, I'm like, yeah, let's not really keep them in the mix. Let's just get a little distance. I can't make that one, but maybe the next time. I like to do the LA like, let's get something in the books. I remember like, and this one dude, he was just a real bit of a drama queen guy. He was just like, "Well, what's up, man? Like, am I like falling out of favor?" And I'm like, I don't even need to respond to this text. Like, it's all good, totally fine. But like, if you think that this is some sort of priority, like, I cannot be around someone who has to have that kind of like self-importance. It's like, nah, bruh. You know what I mean? We're not playing that game. Don't need to facilitate this person's needs.
It might be time to change that cell phone number.
Ugh. You know what? I muted the text, I think. Well,
He's just been texting you for years. You like go to see it. You're
to
like,
be
oh,
fair, I mean, do you ever get the actual like troll? Like, this guy was he was a DM troll. You know what I mean? Like, he would just send
say more.
Yeah, he would send a DM and he would just be like, yeah, what's up with this? Or, he'd basically say something like, to a degree, pretty negative, or just like kind of like not positive. And after a while, you're like, bro, this guy's a DM troll. Like, what's the point of this? You know what I mean? Like, you're like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Did you ever have like a colleague that was like, I don't know, just talk too much smack all the time? You know what I mean? I guess that's what's funny.
Sure.
That's what kind of opened this can of worms up a bit. It's like, at some point you're like, it's kind of fun to like talk shit, right? To
Totally.
talk
It's
shit
the
about
best.
people. Totally. But then at the same time, you could be around, there's a line where it's like, dude, all you're doing is like, I'm like, what like positive thing do you have to say? And I'm not saying everyone has to be some sort of like self-help guru, but it's like, do you have anything going on in your life, or is your life built on tearing down other people privately? It's like, this isn't really doing anything for me. I don't know. I mean, there must have been like at TBS, at Food, there must have been somebody. I heard some horror stories. I heard there was a director at Food that was a real terror. That's what I heard.
Well, you know what they say: those who can host TV shows, those who can't give network notes.
Oh man, I'll do that all day. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, technically,
It was fun. It was fun while it lasted.
no kid. That's the life lesson right there. It was fun while it lasted. Here we are, like Ray Liotta at the end of Goodfellas. Now we get to live our lives like an average schnook
In witness protection.
in Washington. Yeah, not so bad.
Not so bad.
Yeah,
Ollie, thanks for sharing your Asian adventures with us.
yeah. This has been a riveting one. I'm not sure if this will end. I don't know. I mean, I feel like at least I could offer this dadly advice, which is taking a family trip like that is important in the era of screens and all that stuff, because you could be around each other and be completely distracted, removed, and certainly thrusting yourself into a whole other part of the world where you can't speak the language, and you're just, and look, full disclosure, you think my son was out and about every day taking hikes with us and looking at giant Buddha statues? No. There were plenty of times he was in the room on his iPad, chilling out, doing his thing. And guess what? We came to the absolute conclusion that, like, yeah, he needs to have his time to do his stuff too. And here and there, we would do things as a family. And it did not change the fact that I, from my perspective, had an amazing bonding experience. So I just want to be real about that, because sometimes you hear these things and you're like, Japan's amazing, it'll change your life. And then it's like, oh, my kid's in the hotel looking at an iPad. Like, that could happen in Spokane, Washington. But I would not have had as well poured of a beer. So there you go.
Cheers.
Cheers to that. You feel freshy.